Howdy y'all, welcome to Nerd Studio. Gonna have a little post-election discussion. Stay tuned. If you watch the channel, you know I spoke out pretty vehemently against the nomination of Donald Trump. I had and still have questions about his character and his suitability to be president of the United States. My larger concern, though, was I didn't believe he had the numbers to beat Hillary Clinton. You know, at the end of the day, my biggest worry out of this election, I've said it before, I've done videos on it, was the Supreme Court nominations. It's one of the few things that the president has real power in doing, and nominating Supreme Court justices is right up there. We have estimates between, we know we have at least one vacancy and maybe up to 4 coming in the next few years. And looking at Hillary Clinton's politics, I just did not trust her to make those nominations. The balance of the Supreme Court is going to have wide-ranging effects well into my 5-year-old son's adult life. So to me, that was the overriding point of this campaign. As the campaign went on, Trump seemed to dig that hole even deeper every day, confirming my fears that he just could not win. Come the morning after the election, there was no one more surprised than me, honestly. You know, I, like so many, just woefully underestimated how many of you out there were just fed up with the status quo and unwilling to put the future of the country in Hillary Clinton's hands. I just didn't think it would occur. I could tell you how I voted, but it would be meaningless. I could sit here and say, yep, check the box next to Trump, or nope, didn't vote at all. I can't tell you I voted for Clinton because I couldn't have done that, but it really doesn't matter. No one knows how I marked that box other than the people who were standing in the booth, and I can guarantee you I was the only one doing that. So, but it doesn't matter. What I will say today is this: I'm optimistic. Sure, for the obvious reasons, our federal government stands poised. We're right on the brink of rolling back a whole slew of hideous gun laws. All of the things like the NFA regulations, all of those things that are nothing but backdoor gun controls passed at a time where they were trying to make people feel safe rather than concentrating on actually making people be safe. All of that stuff is on the table. Perhaps even things like the Hughes Amendment that bans the sale of select fire weapons built after 1986. Who knows? It's all up for grabs. Definitely the numerous importation bans and executive orders that Obama passed, all that stuff is in play and, in fact, likely to get overturned very quickly. You may even see, well, we may even see concealed carry reciprocity go nationwide, which I think would be a fabulous step forward in really honoring the Second Amendment in a way that makes sense. Long story short, that day was a good day for the Second Amendment. Anyone who is a supporter of the Second Amendment, I would challenge you to say Hillary would have been a better choice than Donald Trump. But I've got other reasons I'm optimistic. President-elect Trump is already rising above the sound bites that have been playing for the last year. You know, having all 3 branches of the government in agreement, he doesn't need to do that. He has somewhat of a mandate. Yet, it was the first thing he did. I fell asleep at 11 p.m. Tuesday night. I'm just getting over it. I had a wicked head cold. I'm just getting over it. And I woke up at 4 a.m. on Wednesday morning hearing him give his first speech.
As I've said from the beginning, ours was not a campaign, but rather an incredible and great movement made up of millions of hardworking men and women who love their country and want a better, brighter future for themselves and for their family. It's a movement comprised of Americans from all races, religions, backgrounds, and beliefs who want and expect our government to serve the people, and serve the people it will. I want to tell the world community that while we will always put America's interests first, we will deal fairly with everyone, all people and all other nations. We will seek common ground, not hostility, partnership, not conflict. And now...
So I'm hopeful, and I think there's good reason to be. Now, President Trump, he's got lots to prove. Like all presidents, he's going to have to deal with the campaign promises that he can't fulfill and the disappointment that's inevitably occurs from your core supporters from that. He's going to have to explain the compromises he ultimately will make, that all presidents have to make. That's how politics works. He's going to have to take responsibility for the weight of his words. I think during the campaign, he spoke off the cuff largely, and I think a lot of our sound bites come from that. I think that's his way, but as president, you just can't do that. He's going to have to learn to prepare when he speaks. You know, the president of the United States can come out and say something off the cuff, and stock markets crash. He has that ability. So, I mean, new responsibility's got a lot to prove. Now, I'm trying to find a good way of describing this without being condescending, so let me just say it this way. If you find that you are in mourning, if you're grieving after this election, I've got to say this. Look, all the information you have has been filtered through the media lens. You don't know Donald Trump. I don't know Donald Trump. I don't know anyone who knows Donald Trump. The strong emotional reaction that you are having today isn't based in reality. It's based on what the media has told you is the truth. And if you ask me, that's not a way to base an emotional reaction. It's certainly not a way to base an intellectual reaction at this point. You know, the day after Obama was elected, both times, I was disappointed in it. I was truly upset. You asked my wife. I thought, and I still think the guy was a terrible choice. Trust me, I was every bit as opposed to him as those of you who are in mourning today are opposed to Donald Trump. But on that day, when Obama was elected, he became my president. He's still my president, and he will remain my president until we inaugurate Donald Trump. I prayed daily for his success because his success meant the nation's success. I disagreed with most everything he did, but there were some things I thought he did fine. Protesting about it just wasn't going to change anything. He won. That's the way it is. So look, if you find you're supporting or engaging in protests over this election, I'm going to say you're part of the problem. You're not part of the solution. Things are definitely going to change. They are, and in ways you likely will object to. That's just how this works. But here's the fact. This is the way our system was designed to work, and work it did. We are a constitutional republic, not a democracy. For those that think, well, Hillary won the popular vote, even if ultimately she did, which is in question. That's not how we elect the president. Ask yourself, how much of the popular vote did George Washington get? Answer, 0, because there was no popular vote at the time. The states elect the president. That's how it's always been. It was designed that way for a very, very good reason. It's not the popular vote, so you got to let that go. You don't like it? You do have recourse. It's called a constitutional amendment. Go look that up. And in the meantime, stop blocking traffic. Send your kids back to school. Do your best to seek peace, because that's what we need. The election is over. To Trump supporters, hey, your candidate won. Good for you. I'm hopeful that it's good for all of us. But if you think this gives you a mandate to spew hatred and bigotry, guess again. If that's you, if that describes you, you are also part of the problem and not part of the solution. You know, President-elect Trump seems to be rising above that, and you should too. There we go. Hopefully we can get on to some gun-related videos now. All right, folks, always remember anyone can shoot. Anyone could shoot and have fun. We'll see you next time.